Chapter 3. Business Cards. Why do you think a business card is important? What is a good business card? What do you expect people to do with your beautiful card? When do you make a business card that you are proud of? After reading this topic, you can make a better business card. With the coming insights, you make your business card more powerful. The exchange becomes more fun and the reactions to it stronger. That makes the memory of the meeting with you more lasting. A business card is fun, can be beautiful, can make you proud, can be functional, can make you feel important, and no doubt you can think of even more important things and motivations for you why you need a business card. But let me be very clear about this, especially towards starting entrepreneurs. Don't spend more than 1 hour creating a business card in the beginning. Yes, maximum 1 hour. And limit the costs to a few euros. Especially if you still have to build a network, it is better to spend that time and money on the networking itself. Another myth about the business card that I also want to break is the fact that you should always have cards with you. Mind you, it is useful and comes across well, but it is really not always necessary. During this chapter it will become clear to you why without business cards you automatically become even more active in making and maintaining new contacts. Too often, especially novice entrepreneurs, spend too much time and money designing business cards at the start of their business. I think that's a waste of time. But maybe it would be good if I explain why I feel that way. And no doubt you will have your own thoughts on this. What does your business card look like? Designing business cards is a fun process. You can be completely absorbed in telling everything that is important to you on a piece of cardboard of a few square centimeters. Then there will also be a super nice logo, you think, with which you want to fully express who you are and what your company stands for. The card must then be described with a nice font and if possible also with some extra background color, and to top it off, a different model that you can fold open 3 times. You are absolutely right about doing this one day. It's fun, and it can definitely turn out a fantastic, unique card that you're immensely proud of. Still, my advice is, don't start with this until you have built up a network at the earliest. Why? Because the impression you leave as a person is many times more important than the card. I assume you are reading this book because you want to have more network results. You achieve that result because after reading this book, you manage to present yourself as an unforgettable personality. Whether you then hand over a nice, simple or chic expensive business card has little influence on this. In fact, if you do it right, you will only receive business card and only return the promise that you will invite the person on LinkedIn after the meeting. But I'll come back to that later. But let's assume that you want to start networking and have a business card. What should that card look like? It is about what you put on the card and how the card contributes to making new contacts. The most important thing about the business card is that your first name, last name and company name can be clearly read from a few meters away. Do this in a standard font in black against a white background. To spice it up a bit, you can choose to put the company name in a separate colored block, but make sure that it is easily readable from meters away. So focus on readability and leave the design for later. What else do you put on the card? In any case, your telephone number, email address, and website. And what do you do with the back? The back must be writable and there must be some blank space for writing. On the back you also put your company name in large, clearly legible. This way people can always see your company name, regardless of how the card is located. For many years we have also had a scannable QR code asterisk on the back, but that will one day be replaced by another technical tidbit. Augmented reality asterisk would be a nice next step. Another practical tip of a technical nature for when you make a card is to check whether the design is also properly recognized by mobile scanning equipment. I currently use Camcard asterisk on my Android asterisk device. That is very handy. The card is saved as an image and the information is automatically added to the contacts on the device. What matters is that one can read the card with the most basic data up a few meters away even in moderate light. Why is readability so important? That's because the recipient of your business card wants to read the data. It may sound strange, but be aware of that and make sure that everyone can easily read your card. This immediately distinguishes you from many others because many business cards are simply not easy to read. That irritates the recipient, and that's the last thing you want, that irritation associated with your person. Google for those terms if they are still unknown. How do you hand over your business card? One of the most important things about networking is quickly making a lasting impression on new contacts. A good time to make that impression is when you give your business card. Now you see a lot of people giving away business cards carelessly. Sometimes even before a single word of substance has been spoken. Make sure you never go along with that. Treat your card, no matter how simple, chic, ugly, or beautiful, as an extension of your personality. Always hand it over with care. Feel free to exaggerate here. I myself use two hands and offer the card with a slight nod with my head while looking at the recipient in a friendly manner. Always clearly state your personal name and company name. The most powerful thing is if you can also tell a short anecdote. A short sentence that sticks with the recipient. The latter is so important that I will now briefly explain what I mean by this separately. Networking is about standing out in a positive way. You want to make contact with many people in a short time. Then, after the meeting, those people still have to remember you. The use of a short, anecdotal sentence can greatly contribute to this. Let what you say match the perception of the recipient and they will never forget you. An anecdote from practice. Let me take as an example how I once presented my card to a graphic designer. This I did in the above manner with the words, "You are a graphic designer, can I scare you with my card that I want to offer you?" Then I handed her my homemade card, the result of an hour of home craft, so to speak. When she saw the card, she immediately understood what I meant by scare a bit. For a professional graphic designer, this was of course an ugly, wrong card. With a smile we immediately entered into a conversation in a fun, open and sincere way. The power of this sentence became apparent 8 months later after this incident. I heard her tell about our meeting in a conversation with someone else where she literally repeated the sentence about scaring. That impression had lingered. Now it's not that I want to encourage you to play the joker with funny one-liners. Or you want to encourage the making of ugly cards. No, if you think that, you're missing the point. The essence is that when you hand out your card, you have to engrave the moment in the memory of the recipient. You and your company should be forever remembered by the recipient. You can do this by carefully handing out the card, supported by a sentence that matches the recipient's perception of the world. How do you ensure that you get business cards? Getting business card is very important. It is the most tangible result of your networking activities. In fact, getting business card is more important than giving them away. The advantage of not having business card yourself is that you have to contact the other person after the meeting because the other person cannot. He has no information about you. So all the initiative is with you, and that automatically makes you much more active, and you have to be in touch to stay in touch. I owed you that answer. But how do you get the card from the other? Is that why you have to ask? The short answer is, yes. Resolve to yourself that you will never end a conversation without asking for the other person's card. Don't worry, you often receive it automatically when you offer your business card, but it sometimes happens that the other person does not return a business card. There could be many reasons for that, but whatever that reason is, you must have that other person's business card. In any case, his data, otherwise you will not be able to contact this person later. The only solution is to ask for the business card. And when you get the business card, how do you receive it? Again, the basic principle is that you must ensure that you make a good, lasting impression on the giver. Receive the business card just as carefully as you offer your business card. Receive it. I do that with both hands whenever possible. Look at the person and listen to what he says. Thank you very much for the card. Look at the card carefully on the front and back and give a positive and honest opinion about the card, the color, design, or the information you see. If you see something special about the card, say it. The giver will be only too happy to tell you how that special design or color came about. Hold the card in your hand during the conversation with the dealer. Look at it every now and then and make sure the giver sees that too. At the end of the conversation, do not put the card in your inner pocket or folder that you have for that purpose. If you are talking to several people at the same time, keep the card of the person you are talking to on top. This takes some skill, but you get used to it. Why would I do all this like this? You may be wondering. This has to do with paying attention and remembering the conversation after the meeting. First of all, you show a lot of attention and respect for the giver if you receive and treat his card carefully and seriously. That in itself is a reason to do it that way. That is a matter of courtesy and politeness. Then you help yourself to remember the conversation by keeping the card in view during the conversation. By keeping the card in view, you will notice that it is much easier to recall the conversation in your mind later when you look at the card. By alternately looking the person in the eye and looking at the card during the conversation, you will see the person again later when you see their card. This also greatly aids in remembering the person's name. Something happens in your brain that makes it easier to remember images than words. Seeing the card before your eyes quickly evokes the association with the name of the associated person or company. If you mentally connect the person and the card, then when you meet the person you can see the card in your mind with his name on it. This also works the other way around. When you see the card, you can call up the person's face. This takes some practice, but the result immediately contributes to making a good impression, and that makes it worth the practice to get this skill. In a negative sense, the opposite works just the same. If you don't pay attention to the business card, don't connect the giver and the card during the conversation, put the card carelessly in your pocket, then a while later you find a card in your storage system and you wonder, who the hell is that? When do you make a nice card? As an entrepreneur, you are constantly growing. Growth is change. And that applies just as much to you personally as it does to your company. What you want to radiate in terms of company only arises when you are fully engaged in your activities. If you create a complete corporate identity with logos and color schemes right from the start, it will certainly match the business plan you have written. Or with the ideas you had before and at the start. But if you are a few months or a year later, you will see in retrospect that a large number of things have gone differently than described in that beautiful plan. Certain perceptions, expectations, and experiences will also be unexpectedly different. As a result, that entire house style based on theoretical plans no longer matches your current vision after a few months of experience. That is why it is better to start with simple cards. Made quickly at a low cost. Only months or a year later you can then start working with a professional graphic designer on the basis of insight and experience for a beautiful house style. And if everything went well, you have the right budget for that. The design of the card does not matter much for networking. You now know network contacts based on your personality. But a good professional house style goes beyond networking. This determines the face of your company. The choices you make for this must also remain applicable for a long time. So be patient and wait for a while. By the way, do you know why your business card should also be legible from a few meters away? It has everything to do with getting in touch more easily. You will discover that in the next chapter. Summary. You now know why you think a business card is important. You now also know that a business card grows with you as an entrepreneur. You now know that you personally are always more important than your business card. With these insights, you now also know that you should not be too busy designing a business card at the beginning of your entrepreneurial life, unless you have a graphic, creative profession. Legibility, clarity, black letters, bright color against a white background and well-used back are the best, most scary. You always receive business card carefully and treat them with respect. And you now know that the most important thing is the way you present your business card, always in combination with an anecdote and pride. Because only then does the thought of you remain imprinted in the memory of the recipient, and that is what you want. Sooner or later the card will disappear into the circular archive. The thought of meeting you should remain a lifelong, positive impression. What comes next? Chapter 4, Name Badge.